Hello, this is Brian Whitten and ETR. How are you all this morning? Welcome back to the channel. Before I get started, I just wanted to let you know that the image that you're looking at on the screen was actually the driving force for the purpose of me actually making 11.1%, and it was actually that process, or at least the image, that made me create the video. One thing I did want to let you know is if you have a look on the screen now, you are seeing the very two file names used to create the very start of 11.1%. I wanted you to note the file names. You can see the blue sky photos there, but I want you to take note of the ones with a shiny rock, which was the very start, how I showed you the rock I was going to show you the images from. And also the next intro file is used at the very start of the video. So they are numbered 887 and 888. That is the number associated with the end of the file, and it's also the very same number of Maui on Easter Island. So you would have heard me mention 6,888 quite a few times in the video prior to that. So I would expect we've just been told we are at the end of the cycle without doubt. Excuse my tie, I've got my beanie on today because it's very cold in Australia at this present point in time. We've had a cold snap come through from the South Pole and it's very, very cold. I wanted to come back to the TV now. I did insert that image because I wanted to discuss with you a few things, and it would be more to do with my interpretation of the images we were seeing here being somewhat misread. It would be the first time I've done exactly that, and I would expect it will not be the last, although having said that, sometimes you do get to a point of where you can't do any more. But there is one or two things that I wanted to add to a little bit to each and every one of the last 3 or 4 videos. I wanted to start here initially because I said to you that we were looking at the Queen being taken. In my opinion, what we were getting told is she would be gone before Easter. I said this was going to be everybody being taken prior to Easter. But in reality, when we zoom into our little section down here, how many people can we see getting taken up in this beam? As you can see, it spirals up here, and you can see it spiraling up here, spiraling out of the atmosphere, and you see these planetary bodies up here. And this was before Easter. We've discussed this as well, that this was the questioning the star, or questioning this cross being made by these 4 points. In other words, question Easter. What happened at Easter? Well, what happened at Easter? The Queen was not here. She was not at Easter service. I would expect that we're getting told here, and I misread this for everybody being taken, that it was the Queen. What do we see if we zoom in here a little closer? In this portion, we have 2 pillars here, with this going up this side and this going up this side. This is the London Bridge. So we know this is the Queen, or at least somebody from England, and as she wasn't here for the Easter service, I would suspect it was a Queen. I want to discuss with you a few things. If we look at the next image, this impact here at the bottom of South America we've seen before. It is the first impact used to tilt the Earth's axis. On the other side of the globe, opposite line A, on line A, on the very same line of longitude, is the following. And this being the other side of the globe on the very same line A, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the bombing of a fully loaded and stocked HMAS Adelaide into Darwin Harbour, bombed by the Japanese. Uluru, Maralinga nuclear tests. We go back around the other side, you get up into the Falklands War. How possibly is it possible to consider that a woman, and I'm not having to go at the Queen here, I don't like royalty, I never really have taken to it very much. But she, before she was Queen, the one thing she was a young child and innocent of anything, and bore into this, because this is organising nuclear bombs well and truly before the war started, by people saying, oh, the Earth is going to spin real fast, we need to bomb, when in reality the resource here is not oil, it's nothing to do with that. How does the Queen apologise and sit down and say, oh look, we started these wars, I apologise? We have started the wars for the resource we sought was the children of the fallen on both sides. The apology is never ever going to come, and never ever was going to come. Something I've known for a long time. It's an impossibility when people paint themselves into a corner as badly as these people have. There is no apology coming here. There will be no public address by anybody on earth. I stop and say to you that we've come up with the number. This inserted picture here is the glyphs that are from the Luxor temple in Egypt. They would appear to be, without doubt, telling us the amount of people that are taken from Earth. And that will not be wrong. This picture here, also the points within Central America that we are seeing displayed here will not be wrong. They are telling you how many people per area will be taken from America. I've posted a video called 11.1% not likely. It's 11.1% of the world population, but I can assure you in our white man's worlds where this behaviour is being hidden and protected by many, many people, as well as the untruths of history, there are going to be far greater percentages of people taken. It's without doubt. In Australia, I would expect we are going to see roughly 25%, something of that nature, 1 in 4. That's a pretty big number of people to lose, but in reality that's what we're being told. When I suggest to you that it is an impossibility for the apology to occur, which is going to be the case, well then we're left for the people coming back here having to remove this 97 million people and take them. If we go back to our initial image that I showed you, then that'd be this one here, albeit it's on my desktop here. This man here is reading a newspaper. It may not be a man, it could be the Queen. It actually looks like a bowler hat, but it's a little bit flat on the top here. Maybe we're saying that she was taken all right, but she came back with a news, a story, and she had the responsibility of telling everybody else what was going to go down from this point. Because I'll be honest with you, if it was me, and it is obvious that we are seeing from the people and the messages that I insert here, that each and every bomb that I've been told about on the rocks has been removed. These images here are showing us that each and every time they are taken away. How would you go about, and ask yourself this, how would you go about this process? And the process is keeping as many people alive as possible, type inverse in what the US military may think, which are deep in discussion in the Congress at the moment about UFOs. This is exactly why, but you are still only hearing half-truths, trying to paint, as they are now with the International Monetary Fund and all this economic mob over in bloody Europe. They're just trying to create havoc so that when the people get here they're not trusted. How would you actually decide, and the best way would be to remove 876.9 million. Now you're going to take 97 million and say, oh well look, the reason we've taken 97 million is because these other 779 million on Earth have kept their mouths quiet, and it allowed these 97 million to get away with the most atrocious crimes. You're not going to do that. If your task here is to keep as many people alive as possible, I would be taking them like that all at once, and it would be done like that. That would be it. They'd all be gone. I think that would be how I would manage a situation, and that might be what is done. In one of my last videos I did post this picture and told you what I believed had happened, that we've been yet another boat here showing this is a cloud, but it's obvious what this is. It was yet another message I was given. If I get them this way, I'll get them this way. I get them on the rocks. I've had and went through an explanation as to how many times these types of things have happened to me. Like I said, once you're the bloke that's got the job, you've got the job. That's just the way it is. But I actually posted this video and said to you that that our Prime Minister, our new Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, was a gutless mongrel dog, so on. I have an apology to make to you. Not to say that I apologise for calling you that. You are one and true one of those people. You all are like that in our Australian Parliament. You have left in place, as the gutless, bald-headed bastard Dutton, parliamentary pedophile suppression orders in place in the whole period of time you've been in government. So really, quite frankly, you're a bunch of gutless dogs. All of you, I don't like you, but having said that, you without doubt would appear to be a greater majority of you, as would be the Queen of England, indoctrinated into behaviour, and I'm not going to go into that because I've covered it in my other videos. The only reason I wanted to apologise to you, Mr Albanese, is that I said you made this nuclear weapon here, which is why you're seeing this cloud go up in the form that it is. It's a nuclear bomb that's telling you going off here. Another boat here letting us know we're in the water here. But what we're seeing here is not what I said. That's what I'm going to apologise, in the fact that I said you left this bomb out of the east coast of the... You didn't. This was actually a lot closer to home. I'll show you something. What we're looking at here is the town of Wingham, which is where I live. When I walk out my house, and my house is this one here, I walk out my back door looking in this direction, and when I walked out the back door here, that vision in the cloud was in this direction here. Exactly like that. I'll show you another photo of the very same image, but a wider version. Okay, now, this is the whole image. I actually showed you a portion of this image cropped. I want you to make note that you've got a little plant here. So I'm actually looking really low down. I actually tried to get this out of the picture, but this is one where I just got the top of one of my neighbour's trees here. And these aren't really high trees. This is a leaf off a banana, I think, banana leaf or something sticking up there. I'm just saying that when I was looking down low here. Now I want you to look at the whole picture. What we're actually seeing with this cloud across here and this here, this is actually a bridge. They're saying this happened in the direction I was looking, that way, directly towards the bridge. Is without doubt, this was not off the east coast. This was left under the Wingham Bridge, and it was due to go off when Anthony Albanese left Australia for these meetings overseas. That is what actually happened, and I'm absolutely certain that I misread, which is why I apologise. I said to you that you laid these out off the coast, when in reality you came and left one right on my back doorstep, and I would be without doubt that this happened with the knowledge of Peter Dutton. I will say and add here that I had communicated with the Australian Federal Police about my concerns with Peter Dutton, because as Immigration Minister I am aware and was shown evidence that he left people into this country, talking about border security, he let people into this country that are associated with schools in London where they indoctrinate children into this behaviour, where they murder, rape children, where they sacrifice them and drink the blood and eat the body of children, and that Peter Dutton was Immigration Minister when those people have been brought into Australia. So it seems Mr Dutton took some of my advice personally and didn't like it. Bad luck, mate. You have a penance and a sentence to serve. I would have no doubt you politicians, or a greater majority of you, would certainly be indoctrinated into schools. I'm not so sure I wasn't taken to a place myself at a very young age. I have mentioned that before, but I did grab my brother's little hand and I got the both of us out of there, and I don't think I was ever going to be invited back, thankfully. So once again I will say to you that that photo, and I do not lie to you, was taken out of my back door like that, and I was looking directly at this bridge here, and that is where they have laid those nuclear bombs, or at least one there, to eradicate Wingham. Thankfully it's been removed, who by, I would expect, the people that have coming here to do what needs to be done. And like I said, I would have no doubt that they would take them all in one go, because even us good people, seriously, if we found that there were 700 million people here that had hidden these, the truth of mankind, university lecturers, there would be riots everywhere. We would actually turn into the people that we loathe. We would go and try and kill them. And really, that is not the objective of the people that are coming here. The people coming here want to teach us the truth, and they want to keep as many people alive as possible. So I would see all of them going in one night as being the most sensible and most, the most, well, as you've got a higher, you've got a very much higher percentage of success taking everybody in one go. Now, Mr. Dutton, I haven't finished with you yet, sir. We've got to go through a little bit more. We have the media in our country at the moment painting you as the new leader of the opposition and polishing your head on our free-to-air, foreign-owned media, or free-to-air channels anyway, 9, 10, 7, Sky, it doesn't matter. You are getting painted as being the really top bloke. See this rock here that is on screen? That is the rock. Strangely enough, given to me the very day after I uploaded my video, is the Earth 200,000 years old. Okay, I'm just showing you that rock so you can see that is what we're looking at here on the screen. I've taken some photographs of this, and I was very, very pleased to get this because I had pondered this for quite some time, knowing that all the river rocks and the mountains, just like this one here, shaped like the very being that is on one side of the Sphinx, which I've shown you before. Their ability to print anything they want, matter transfer via laser. That is what is going on here. It's very, very, very high tech, but it is not an unbelievable thing. We print in 3D now. We just haven't got the ability to move atoms through a laser to where we want them. That is obviously what they could do. Back to the screen now on the rock that I've got on here. I'll zoom in on a few of these pictures so you can see that it is clearly, very, very clearly, what we're seeing, without doubt, is fossils. These ones down here actually look like human fingers. They really do. Whether they're a seagrass, they actually look like they're human fingers. They could be seagrass. There's certainly seagrass up here. I've got a few, so we'll just go we'll go through a few of these. You can see what I'm seeing here. Look, they are all fossils. It appears that way, doesn't it? Really quite amazing, all this here. Having got this rock though, I thought it would give me an opportunity to answer a question I had, and that was relative to, very, very much relative to the 200,000 year age of Earth that I questioned. If in actual fact the elements within Earth vary, that they move away further from the star that created them, the elements and their stability is no longer there, and we have this degradation of the very element we use to age Earth itself. This one here. And this. What I wanted to show you was the very end of this rock looks like this. This on the outside is not what it's like on the inside. It's a white rock, and the whole entire amount of rock surface is white. Yet the inside of the rock exists this real dark portion. It's not the same. It's actually a totally different type of rock than the outside. I want to show you something. Taken off this rock are the following images. Before I move on with the microscopic images of the fossil rock, I wanted to come back here just for a second to show you how we are told certain things. This is President Trump. Got a T right here. This is his profile here with his hair sticking out like this, as it does. And here you have a submarine and the leaving of a nuclear bomb. It was just one of the many that were scattered through Australia, Great Australian Bight, Perth, Tasmania, everywhere. All up the eastern seaboard. It was done between 2020, when the President, or when the Prime Minister packed up and went to Hawaii. That is why, because it was supposed to go off there, and these were all removed. They didn't go off, and these gentlemen, and that's a word I shouldn't be using in the case of these people will be gone. Boris Johnson also involved, the royal family knew of all these things. The reason why I wanted to come back here is to say what they're seeing here is you see his image behind the submarine, because he was behind the submarines coming here to do it. It was under his watch and he knew all about it, which is what we've been told. There's one thing I want you to be aware before I show you the next. The reason why I wanted to show you that last picture is the very same reason I wanted to show you this. This is not off the fossil rock at all. This is off a rock that I will insert here for you, and showed you the videos. This entire video, and it is placed in very good quality at the end of one of my videos in its entirety. So I will play it, however, just a little bit, just to show you that we're seeing the same message here in respect who was behind something. In other words, what we see come out here in this video behind the prince's head, this is actually a prince or royal figure here. It's actually Prince Charles. They're telling us because of the seal that's behind it, right behind it. I'll move along here so you get to a point where you can actually see it more clearly there. You see the seal shape come out here because it's got the royal seal of approval for the activity that was taking place. The other thing I wanted to do is I will just pause this just a tad, just about there is where you start to see the seals come out here in its eyes and its mouth, its body here. It's telling you that they had the royal seal of approval. Also wanted to stop that just there, because if I zoom in here, just a tad, excuse me, I'll zoom into that, and we're seeing the letters F3 get written here. I'll zoom that back just a bit so I know it doesn't work quite so well, and I'll just press play. And we see not only 5 come up, a big 5, but a small F3. When I did the video here, I told you that the F3 is actually a highway that went past the Snowy River, because this is actually talking about an atomic attack, or at least attempted atomic strike on the Snowy River scheme. And we see the F3 come up smaller because the smaller bombs were brought in by the US ship that entered the Brisbane River after the floods. And I made a mistake. They don't call it the F3 anymore because it's the M1, goes all the way up from Sydney to Brisbane and down to Melbourne. It's all been modified since these days, but you can't put M1 there because you don't know where things are coming from. So the F3 was actually the old freeway that went from Sydney to Brisbane, telling us that because it's smaller, that the F3 is the ones where the small bombs came, or the suitcase nukes came from, and the bigger ones are coming from when we see the 5, because it's off the M5 is actually a motorway that leaves Sydney, and they came in through the P&O cruiser that has only just left our shores only a couple of days ago. The other thing I wanted to show you in respect this portion of the video, I'll minimise that again just to show you, because I could say, well, how do you know we're talking about a nuclear bomb? We're talking about the Snowy River because you see the skier here comes up in the shadow, the very same place where you have that, you have this. And I'll just pause that there, because this is where we're showing where the nuclear bomb blast is, right here. That's actually what you're seeing here, and that's where the dam comes up. The dam comes up here, as does Princess Anne's face, as does the skier. You see the seal here, you see the prince's face is not so clear there because it changes. The crystal there, if you watch the video that I put up about it, it's really quite amazing. You can also get a YouTube downloader and get the whole video in really good quality, so you should try that if you wish. I pause, as you can see down there, and when you move across your time frame here, you can then see the video and stop it at the most, the best time to stop it to see the blast. And that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing an atomic bomb go off right here, right where the dam is. And these nukes were brought down the F3 from Brisbane to Sydney with the small ones, and the big ones from the P&O cruiser. But this is without doubt saying that this had the royal seal of approval for this nuclear bomb to go off. And like I said, back here is where you see Princess Anne's profile come in here. She always has her hair up. This is her profile being drawn here. This also shows you when I change this, that this turns into the lake itself, and this is where the nuclear attack went. And to make sure you don't make the mistake of doing so, down here is where you see the skier at his best, about there. And you can even see the stick holding down here. So this is what's happened. There's been a nuclear attack attempted with the royal family seal of approval at the Snowy Mountain scheme. And also at the same weekend, that was supposed to be the Warragamba Dam as well. So I just wanted to make you realise that when we're looking at these things, that rock there with all the fossils written on it, it was found in Queensland by a man who gave it to me. It was only yesterday. He is 80 years old. It's his father that found it. The irony in that is, I'm going to show you on that what was written and attempted within the last week, at the same time the frame of the nuclear bombs were supposed to go off at the Wingham Bridge. That rock has on it what you intended for Canberra, Mr. Dutton. Now the reason I wanted to go over that other image, Mr. Dutton, is that I have not found a rock with your image on it just yet. I have seen things that looked similar, in like, you know, a demonic head, like the one you carry on your shoulders. I wanted to go back to that point because the way we've been told you're behind this is that this rock is from Queensland, delivered to a man many passed across from one father to his son, who is now 80. He's now 80. And what do we have? Center screen right here. I'll zoom in for you. You have F5, the very same freeway that they have just told you. I'll insert this picture so you can see it's actually really nice and quite clear on the original picture. I know photographing the television like this does not work that well, but down the F5 is where, which is why these are in capitals, they're very big, is because the nuclear bombs that were the biggest were brought in on that P&O liner and laden onto a truck. I won't go back there again, but I wanted to make sure that you are aware of that before I show you this next video. This image here, it too is off the fossil rock. It's pretty easy to see the faces here. I'll insert this picture because, like I said, I do realise this is not particularly clear. But you have a face of a black man here, his nose here, his lips here, his eye here. You have the white guy here, his eyes here, he's here, and his lips are here. It's very easy to see. I'll insert them for you so you get them clear. I wanted to show you that because that too is off the rock. We'll now show you a video that is very interesting. It is immensely difficult when you have such a big rock like that to put it under the apparatus that I've got, and the microscope, hold the light and do all such things at the same time when you're using external light, because what we're seeing in this video when I play it is exactly that. I'm using external light source, I then focus the microscope, I then move the light around, and that is where we are seeing the story. I say to you, Mr. Dutton, that this is telling us what was planned in your departure of the office that you held in the Australian Federal Parliament as Minister for Defence. There was a nuclear bomb, and this one here is telling us about Canberra. That's why we find on the same rock, pretty much everything on this has got to do with Canberra. That's what that case is. And the other reason why it's fossils on it is because that's what you're going to be. You're going to be fossilised. Obviously not now, you'll get this 16,000 year penalty. And quite frankly, you know, it's not up to me. If it was up to me, I wouldn't feed your stinking rotten carcass to a perfectly good T-Rex, but I'm sure the people coming here know far better than I, so that will be their decision. I want you to look at what you're seeing in this portion here. You also see a highway come up in here. I may, if the imagery does not come up on the TV like this, the photographic quality, if it's too poor, I'll put the entire video at the end of the video, and only if necessary. I'll just zoom through this so that you're not waiting too long, and I'll just press play. I'll go to full screen. I will hide this temporarily and go to full screen and let you just watch down here, because what you actually see is you can see a guy come up. He's sitting in an office, like a desk in front of him with his all his bits and pieces, and then you see him just blow away in the dust. It's really quick. The way they actually do this, it really is amazing. And like I said, this is in this portion of these videos here. You'll also see a structure come up here. It'll actually tell you that the placement of this nuclear bomb was in the war memorial, and you see when he gets blown away by the dust here. See that effect you get? This is what I'm saying to you. Do not get that effect. There's your bomb right there. And there's a war memorial. It's such a big block of concrete with only a few windows. That's actually what it is. It's actually the war memorial in Canberra. As we go through the video, it shows us more things that we can relate to Canberra, because in Canberra, if you're over there, I'll do an insert now of a fountain that exists within Canberra. It comes out of Lake Burley Griffin, so that's, you actually get to see that come up here. You also get the freeway coming down here, and a nice big E drawn the very same way that Queen Elizabeth draws the E in her name. So I would imagine Queen Elizabeth was also, even if she was taken at Easter, and this was with her approval. Yet again, you see what I'm talking about the man getting blown away? I'll put this up, like I said, in its full at the end of this, I think, because it's well worth the case putting that there. And these bombs that we see come out as a round circle with these spikes on them, they are underwater bombs as a rule. They're like the mines that they used to set for ships and whatnot in the Second World War. And I'll show you an insert now, yet again, the very same thing when we were talking about the bombs that were put in the Derwent River in Hobart. You can see it's clearly here. I'll circle it for you. And back to the video and see that what we're actually getting told here is this structure here. When you've got this really clear, it looks like it's a like a big slab of concrete. This is where you start seeing the stuff come up in the middle of the lake here, like the fountain, come up over on this side. And it's just amazing when you see that guy sitting at that desk and he just gets blown away. It's like he's just vaporized, and it will be, that's how they show you and tell you exactly what the plans were of these people. And like I said, we know that you were behind this, Mr. Dutton, because the rock itself come from Queensland. Just like the nuclear bombs that it's telling us about that you only laid last week, and that has been in this guy's possession for probably 50 to 60 years. So honestly, mate, like I've said before in many videos, they know exactly what you're going to do long before you do it. So interesting part come up there, really brilliant green. I can't quite understand that. Some of these messages are not overly, 100% clear. One of the things you see here is this, and there was talk yet again. This thing here, once you get that in the right light, it all brights up around here. What we were talking about is only NASA, only a week ago, were talking about another comet. In other words, this thing here would have been blamed on a meteor impact. That's what their plan was. Oh, we'll just let a real big bomb off and we'll cover our asses with the fact. You see how that does that? It's absolutely amazing. This guy, he just gets vaporized. So it's really quite an interesting thing that I'll just let this play, because like I said, if it doesn't come up real well, and I'll have a chat as we go along, but yeah, so it actually looks like it come up with F5 right in here again, didn't it? Right here. So I think we're seeing quite a bit in this video that tells us exactly this is where the highway starts to come out here. And when you've got the light right, it's like you see cars going along it. See how it does this? I'll actually zoom in on that again, so I'll bring up my show just so you can see that. It really is. The way some of the technology to do some of this is just mind-blowing. I just want to move back down into there, move that back out again, drop this back down here again so that we make sure we get that bit where they make it look like there's cars driving along the highway. When you get the light right on that portion of that video and you start to see what appears to be, you know, a highway. Here it is here, see this? See how it comes across like this? It does a nice big E here. Looks like the road goes up into the mountains up there. I'll just see if I can't get that a little bit better. I'll just go back to where it initially starts, yeah, about here. So yeah, if you watch this here and you get this little lights flicker in here, then you realise you're looking at a highway. And this is where you get the nice E we see that would indicate that this bomb has been brought in via the freeway and been left at the War Memorial. Compliments of and knowledge of Peter Dutton, who was behind this. I guess he didn't like the idea of losing his job. He's about to kill off every person. Look at that, it's amazing. It really is. I'll just zoom back out again. Put that on hide again. Yeah, so there was talk, like I said, less than a month ago, about a meteorite due to hit Earth again. It was another bullshit story from NASA. And they were going to use that as the cover for that nuclear bomb to go off. You know, it really is amazing. That I just was amazed at that. There's one point there where you get this guy sitting here. It really does look like he's got a desk here full of his bits and pieces. And then as I'm moving the light, it just goes, it just vaporizes as the light sweeps across. So this is what I'm saying to you. Sometimes when I put up a video or a picture, you don't get anywhere near the effect of what I'm seeing when I'm looking. And this is an absolutely hopeless TV for this sort of process. It really is. It's nowhere near as good. It's quite easy to see that come up with a round black thing with a spike sticking out of it, which is, like I said, those types of things are not necessarily time devices, but there's actions that occur. See here, this is very interesting. Like I said, the fountain and whatnot that you get in here in the Lake Burley Griffin, and there's other parts in the lake there as well. So there are boats that travel up and down the lake as well. It's not like it's something. So there, that's basically all I wanted to do today in respect that. But I just wanted to say to you that what we're looking at here, all of this is not, this is on a rock that you've just been shown has got fossils all over it. It isn't fossils, and that's what I'm saying to you. I believe that we're actually probably getting told, get a nice little face come out here as well. I'm absolutely certain that's what we're talking about. I will show you a picture of what that is. It's a very, very, you know, ordinary looking building. Looks like a slab of concrete with a few holes in it, which has a few windows. In essence, that's exactly what I believe we're seeing here. It's just it's very small windows in it, and it really is looks like just a block of concrete. So that's basically why I wanted to show you this. You can see that there is logical placement yet again, a story being told. We've got numbers, we've got letters, we've got faces, and it's on that rock there. So it would indicate to me that what we're being told, you know, even from the world of paleontology, because you surely cannot, I cannot be the only person seeing this. And that's why I believe we are seeing so many people taken from our white man's world, because there are lots and lots and lots of people, men and women, being told, you know, telling these stories of the Queen's version of history. And, you know, that's why there's such a high percentage being taken. The 779 million people that get relocated to these other planets around these 3 other stars, they are outside of the 97 million being judged. the 97 million being judged, I believe their sentence length will be 1, 2, 3 or 4 or 5 of Nibiru's passes. They are very, very long sentences, and probably the minimum is 3,000 years or so. And like I said, there is a day where you men and women were children and indoctrinated, yes, but you stand in adult shoes. And when you stand in adult shoes, you get judged as an adult. So your choice was your choice. I think that's a reason why I had to go and learn so much for so long, right down to the very last day or two. And that's what we're seeing here. You guys are, we're at the decision day here. So like I said, if some of that comes out to be what I actually wanted to show you, which was what happened in this portion here, there's no point me putting at the end. I'll just, because I know it's not as good as some of the other videos I've taken, but you can obviously see it's logical placement. I'll just finish up on that video now and I'll have a chat with you. I thought I might finish off by having a bit of a chat rather than just standing off screen for a little while. It's not because I want to sit here and get famous or whatever. To be honest, one thing I like about my life is its anonymity. I've always been a bit like that. Fame and fortune has never been one of those things that has appealed to me. I prefer to be able to go out and just be one of the many. So might be why I got a job, because like I said, my message was never really meant for everybody. Certainly it can't have been, because really it would have created pandemonium. So that's why I've never really worried about the views. My message was always meant for the likes of you, ma'am, and the prime ministers and leaders of the world, because you knew what I was saying was true. The reason I wanted to have a chat at the end of the video here, and the reason why I came back and made another video, is mostly because of that fossil rock and the discussion that I had in my last video about how old Earth was, 200,000 years. I must apologise again for my appearance. I've told you it's really cold here, so I'm going to keep my beanie on, and I've got a jumper on. It's still cool. I've got the heater off only because the fan makes too much of a noise. And as you can see, the makeup lady had her day off again, which is the way it is. That's just me. Listen, the reason why I wanted to come back and have a bit of a chat is, if we look at this inserted picture now, it is a hammer that was found inside, whether it was a rock or a coal deposit. There was something about this hammer to make up. From memory, I believe the steel has never rusted. It's aged to be, quite old. Once again, it's difficult to assess age if in actual fact it itself was left beyond these fields. But I want to discuss with you a few things, and we give much thought as to why we've actually been taught the last part of this lesson. In other words, that the degradation of elements, the further they are away from a star that created them. If we look at this inserted picture again and understand that I believe that we're being told here that in a binary star system, at least the one we evolved in, one of the stars encompassed the entire magnetic field of the other star. It may be that within a binary system like that, the elements are far more stable. If we also ponder what we've also been told, is this event that happened at Roswell, I believe we're getting told about 21 million years. I'll tell you how. I wanted to do this inserted picture here that shows you the 4 in Roman numerals, and this one here that says 17. Every message they have means more than one thing. If we add them both together, we get 21. If we look at Uluru and its distance from the very line created by the impacts, which is the Tropic of Capricorn, is 210 kilometres. 210 yet again. We take our 0 away, we've got 21. Now, I believe we're being told that it was 21 million years after the creation of the first mass-produced UFO that allowed people to transit between planets on our original binary system, the one we evolved in, was 21 million years, subtracting what we've got, here. I believe about 7 million years that we've been in this galaxy. But that leaves 13 million years. That's a long time. It really is a really long time for a people that have already designed a craft that can leave a planet and go across, you know, the not interstellar, but certainly not in the real sense of interstellar, when we talk about stars that are 8 light years away or whatever, but certainly binary star system and planetary travel. 13 million years is a very long time, and I believe that what we're seeing in this explanation is they're actually telling us that it became, that was the difficulty. Even with to go interstellar, that if you're going to go, you know, might be why that hammer, I said, the hammer itself that we look at had another compound in it, or another element I should say, in it that wasn't something that's used. It's sodium. I believe that that was what it was, and it never rusted. So what they're actually saying there is maybe that there is what we perceive as stable elements vary as well. Like, you know, if you go from a binary star system, maybe the elements created in one star are stable within the entirety of both stars, you know. That might be the situation, whereas when you fly away from that type of thing in a craft, and you're a long way away, the further you go, and the longer you go, the longer you're out of the fields where the atomic structure of these elements are, you know, maintained. How do you do that? That may be why they had this problem with so long. Admittedly, I know intergalactic travel is another thing altogether from interstellar, but 13 million years is a very long time. Another thing I'd like to mention is that if we stop and ponder, and you may think, oh, they packed up and left because they got real crowded, or they left the other galaxy because it was overflowing. That is not what we're being told here. We are being told that the people now, we stop and ponder with England, in the first instance of a couple of thousand, well, in our instance here, a couple of hundred years ago, going across the seas to enter other lands. It wasn't because England was overflowing with people. They didn't leave because of that. They left because they wanted to explore. It's just human nature. So I would expect that the movement we are being told now, or the birth rates that we're going to be seeing on Earth, is, you know, once every 5 months for some, once every 10 for others. It is more than likely that the birth rates where the people that leave Earth, I'm a Caucasian, I'm one that can't stay here, we go away from this planet, we will not be breeding 12 months a year. I would expect that to be the case. And we're going to have a lot of lessons, and there are people that are sitting here, probably I sit in my own home here. I do own my home. I'm lucky enough to have come out on that side of the ledger, and I always envisaged leaving it to my sons. In reality, I did have a thought in my head one day, I hope my 2 boys and I go in the same direction, and I had this written in the sky: where I love to go fishing. I expect it's just told me exactly that, that we are going in the right direction. And thankfully this plane was heading east, not west. This is a very good thing, because most things that head west are not a good way to head. It means you're more than likely going backwards. It doesn't always mean that, but for a greater majority of the instances on the river rocks, that is what it means. Sometimes left is clockwise, and sometimes right is anti-clockwise too. It depends on where you're looking at it and what the message is. But certainly we are seeing that time frame, 13 million years. It's a very long time, and I would expect that the concept of building a craft to leave a star for a long period of time is in actual fact far more difficult than we believe, because we can't perceive the breakdown of these elements. In other words, the elements, how and what you need to compound in them another, well, not a compound, but another element, and create a compound that doesn't suffer from that, you know, that makes the element more stable, the one that's actually breaking apart, which is why we may see sodium placed in that hammer. It's a lesson. It's a lesson that it's far more difficult than you think to just create some sort of device to move away from a star to another star system, because initially how long that takes to go, from one star to another. We use light speed. I don't know how they do it, I really don't. All I'm just saying is that the lesson would appear to be there, that once you've created a craft and go interplanetary between, like I said, a binary star system, but still take another 13 million years. That's a hell of a long time. It must have taken, and I tell you, like I said, as silly as I may sound compared to the knowledge of those in the fields that I talk about, molecular biology and all sorts of things like this, I know nothing about it. I'm merely reading a story, and I'm absolutely certain some of you are in fits of laughter because of my lack of knowledge in your field. And that's fine, because I can tell you now, you're going to be standing alongside people that make you look as dumb as a post, just like I do you, I guess, when I start talking about your fields of expertise. Listen, I think I'll finish up there today. I think we've covered enough. I believe what we've shown from that rock that Mr. Dutton was certainly behind the placement of a nuclear bomb in Canberra, as well as the one down here at Wingham Bridge. That will all come out. A whole lot of it will come out, and he can sit there and polish his head as much as you want. ABC, 7, Channel 9 and Channel 10. I can assure you there are going to be a lot of vacancies in a lot of TV stations and a lot of places of learning in our country, because I've gone through every university and I've heard crickets. I do understand, right? I do understand the relevancy of truth in a world where it's been built on lies. It's almost impossible to deliver it in any manner or form, which is the other reason why I would expect the actions of those that come let's just pick them all up in one go and get rid of them. That way, not necessarily get rid of them, but relocate a greater majority of you to worlds where you don't have this problem anymore, and so I would expect that would be what they do with a greater majority. It is, after all, they who start the cycle that create the problem in this area, but they have to. You cannot afford to have people like Mr. Dutton here, who's ready to kill many millions of his own countrymen, in a world where you have the power to guide stars, build planets. So I think I'll finish up there today and just say to you all that I believe that what we're being told is something that's a far more difficult task, and to have taken so long to get to leave, I would believe it wasn't anything to do with the population growth. You don't leave a galaxy or fill a galaxy up if you're only breeding. I believe this breeding process, or fast breeding process, may have only happened here. It was the first time they did it, and they made a mistake. They actually, like I said, created the devil as such. They have to keep doing it because there are people that were dependent on people like us that can stand on a globe spinning in a given direction. You cannot have these people or mutations that could find their way, down the track into a very, very advanced society. So I believe that that's primarily the lesson. And like I said, I was very, very glad to be given the opportunity to look at a rock like that does, without doubt, look like there are fossils all over it, when in reality the entire rock has been manufactured just like the rest of it. And just very, very ironic that given to me the very day after I've uploaded a video saying, is Earth only 200,000 years old because of the degradation of the elements that we use, once we know it's pushed out beyond Mars, and on the very last field where these orange peel fields are at their weakest, the degradation of those elements is extremely quick. So that's all I'll say today, and I do appreciate my friend. I hope he doesn't mind me putting that video up, and respect his passing father, or his father that has passed, and showed you that what it is not quite what it seems. And I think that's a way to finish up today. I'm going to go and put the heater back on and finish my cup of coffee, and wish you all a very lovely day. Have a nice one. This is Brian Whitten and ETR. Bye bye.